Hey guys, and welcome to The Pull, the show where we talk about comics that come out each week. I just killed Diva. That's okay. Um,
God,
It happens.
as always,
tragic.
I'm joined by Joel over on Twitter at Cape Joel, and today we have a
What's
very
up?
special guest, Dylan. You can find him
Hello.
on Twitter at Auram Alexander. He is a YouTuber and an editor and all kinds of things. He's a talented person.
YouTuber.
Yes, we're technically all on YouTube. We're all YouTubers at this
You,
moment,
you dabble in general YouTubery.
I
right?
hardly post videos anymore, but you
Yeah.
know what? I'll take it. I wrote one last night, so
Well, that's it.
There you go.
That's what it is. I'm sorry. So we're gonna start the show off right away because again we got a lot of books to talk about. So we're gonna.
Some people got to make movies.
That's right. That's right. Got the cat Thor going on, so we're gonna go
Got
see
a
Thor
Diva
tonight.
shirt.
A bunch of
Hell yeah.
nice. Yes.
Oh, I'm the boring one.
Yeah, what happened? What happened? Anyway, guys, we're gonna kick it off with Batman the Devastator. Joel, what's going on in this little like standalone tie-in thing?
battle.
You call it a standalone, yet the last couple issues of these Dark Knights tie-ins have actually been incredibly important in fleshing out what is going on in Dark Knight's metal. Essentially, they saved the biggest guns for last. The Merciless, the Devastator, which we're talking about today, and the Batman Who Laughs, essentially making up the evil trinity within these evil multiversal Batmans. And obviously, if you couldn't tell, because we already kind of got a little insight into who the Devastator is, the Devastator is a Bruce Wayne from a universe where Superman went rogue. They don't know how or why he went rogue, but he just started knocking down buildings and killing people. And so to defeat Superman, Batman shot himself up with a highly contagious strain of the Doomsday virus.
Yep.
You know.
As you do.
As you
As you do. What's interesting about this one and why I found this one to be really compelling and probably one of the most believable dark futures for Batman is that even though Superman is killing people, even though he is wrecking their world, Batman is so self-centered and so self-involved. His internal monologue is all about like how Superman betraying his trust was the worst thing that could ever happen, and that this is all on me, and this is the universe conspiring against me specifically. I'm never gonna believe in anyone ever again because Superman hurt my feelings. Basically, and it's wonderful in that regard. Oh, also too, Batman's original plan to kill Superman involves a very interesting looking kryptonite spear that looks like it may have come from a certain movie, and Superman just gives him the third degree. He's like, really, man, a spear? Come, I'm a freaking demigod and you're gonna try and kill me with a spear, really? Frank Terry is funny like that. He gives no shits. He'll take people to task, and indeed he does.
But fair enough.
This issue also shows us the downfall of Metropolis, and explains the also important question: hey, how come the extended Justice League members and the extended Superman family didn't come to help during Dark Knights? They couldn't because the Devastator beat the crap out of them. That's why. It's as simple as that. They lost, and they lost bad. And what's especially scary about the Devastator is he's basically patient zero for this Doomsday virus. So he is highly infectious, and everyone around him, including Lois and Jimmy and the entire Daily Planet set, they've turned into Doomsday monsters now.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you put the words highly contagious in front of most anything. Like, kind of, what happened there, Batman? You usually have a plan for everything. And then I will fix it with my magical, no, I just had to stop Superman. I had no plan after this. Yeah, okay.
Oh, but he didn't care because he says that this is like a great metaphor for how he needed to harden his heart against ever believing in anyone ever again. And he's spreading this literally to everyone else. You don't need Superman to protect you. You can protect yourself by being horrible doomsday monsters.
So, like, do they then go about their day? Like, do they go and, like, take the subway and, like, have lunch, go to the supermarket?
I want to see that so bad. And then, of course, the Batman Who Laughs shows up and says, hey, you know what? There's another world where people do believe in Superman. And in fact, they believe in him a little too much. You should totally join my team and be my ringer, and we should go there and mess up that world. And Devastator, who never actually calls himself Devastator, in fact, the Merciless never called himself the Merciless either, was like, you know what? I'm down for this. Let's go. Road trip.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Hell yeah.
they're like, well, I've had my effect on this world. I've ruined it. So peace.
Yeah, it leads to a very important question where it's like, whoa, wait. So even after you beat Barbatos, even after you defeat the Dark Knights and everything, you're still going to be lousy with Doomsdays. How are you going to deal with that?
The sun.
Sure.
Something.
I don't know. They'll fix it. They'll make it work.
Yeah, they always
It'll
do.
be fine. They'll just do whatever.
Dr. Fate will magic it back. That's
exactly. Yeah. So what'd you think about this one in terms of these standalones? How does it rank for you?
They definitely seem to be saving the best for last.
Okay.
This one was really cool, not just because it had some really amazing images and some really amazing fight scenes, but Frank Terry, who never gets a lot of credit for being a fill-in guy. He doesn't really have any ongoings at DC anymore, but he usually bats cleanup on a couple of things. He finds a certain really enjoyable and really believable level of depth to Batman here and how easy it would be for him to turn to the dark side if Superman were to betray his trust. They kind of tackle this whole paradoxical nature of Batman, where it's like, I am a loner, I am vengeance, I am the night, but I also have more friends and sidekicks and supporting characters than just about anybody, and I really hate to be alone. That's like one of my most horrible fears.
Right.
So they mine a lot of really interesting material out of this one.
All right, that's awesome. It's interesting if they are saving the best for last, obviously with everyone desperately wanted to know about the Batman Who Laughs. It's interesting to see this hierarchy go as we've been going, and where like something like the Aquaman version, well, Aquawoman version would come in. I was like, I'm kind of surprised.
I know, right?
You wouldn't expect it, but then yet there it was. All right, guys, so that was Batman the Devastator. If you've been following DC Metal, or Dark Knight's Metal. I always just want to call it DC Metal. I don't know why. I just desperately want to call it that. But Dark Knight...
what they were promoting it as at first?
Yeah, now...
They were calling it Dark
wanna...
Days Metal at first.
Yeah.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Because
I remember hearing DC Metal, and then now it's Dark Knight's Metal, but that's only because we know what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't want to reveal that before.
Maybe that could be exactly what it is. But there you go. If you're reading that, you might want to pick up Batman the Devastator, and if nothing else, you'll want to pick up the next one to find out about the Batman Who Laughs. Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice and creepy? Yeah. But moving on from DC, let's swing on over into Marvel and talk about Spider-Man number 234. Yeah, I really questioned that pun, but I already said it. So.
I appreciate it.
Can't take it back now. It's out there.
It's happened. Dylan, what happened in Spider-Man? What's going on?
So it threw me off when you said 234 for a second, just because I forgot that Marvel's doing that.
Yeah,
it's totally messed up my filing. It really has.
Right?
We're back.
But yeah, this was good. I enjoyed it mostly. Basically, the premise, it's the start of a new story arc, as all the new Marvel Legacy number ones. They're not like just new books are
jumping on points.
Yeah, jumping on points. This story arc is setting up Miles' Sinister Six, basically.
Ooh.
So the issue, you remember in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, the ones with Andrew Garfield, there was in the post-credit scenes, there was this guy with a trench coat and a hat.
Oh yeah, I try and forget, but yes.
So,
Mr. Mysterious.
Yeah, so he kind of, and he was like trying to, they were setting up a Sinister Six with that guy. They're doing the exact same thing here.
Oh.
But they quickly dispel it because they show who he is at the end of the book, and I won't spoil it, but it is an actual pretty cool reveal.
Someone already spoiled it for me. It is actually really cool and really
it's
smart.
pretty interesting because I thought it was one character the whole time because they also showed the character that I was thinking in a similar outfit in another book, and I was like, oh, he's related to Spider-Man mythos. It's probably him. But then it's like not at all what you would think.
It's someone with a deep connection to Miles.
Yes, absolutely. But overall, yeah, I thought it was fun. There's a lot of relationship drama that is written kind of strangely, but basically Goldballs just gets real upset because he thinks that Miles is a dirty, rotten cheater, but he's not. So
I forgot Goldball was a supporting character in this book because
he left for a while, and he came back this issue and got real mad. That may have been last issue, actually. I read a bunch of comic books today.
That's okay.
I feel like...
But anyway, they're setting up this Sinister Six team, and so far it's mysterious man, uh, the mom bombshell.
Oh yeah, that's right.
She's like back. There's Sandman, who was reluctant, but
cool.
is
Isn't he
joining.
always?
Yeah, exactly. And then there's like, wait, how many is that? I was about to say there's a few more, but it's 6. It has to be 6.
Isn't the Spot in there too?
Yeah, the Spot.
Haven't seen him in a bit.
He showed up in Jessica Jones once a while ago. I guess Bendis just likes the Spot for whatever reason.
He's fun. He's a Dalmatian man who can open up portals.
He just seems like a poor man's doorman to me, which anyone who steps on doorman's territory is just dead in my book. So.
You're like, already this is a ding against the Sinister Six. I'm not.
I think that's everyone. I'm probably missing one, but let me see. Hold on.
I feel like there was a
Hang on, we're gonna check this out.
Just gonna Google real quick.
I do actually want to know.
Electro, Lady Electro woman.
That's
and Hobgoblin. Those
Hobgoblin.
two. I missed
but
many.
Which Hobgoblin do we know?
The most recent one, I guess. I don't remember his name.
So Kingsley again, or
Probably.
Uric?
I don't think it's Uric. It might be Uric though.
Because they had a weird back and forth where Uric is like, I'm the Hobgoblin now. Oh, Kingsley's back. Well, I'm the Goblin King now. Because I was the Goblin Knight under Osborne.
Well, let's see if I was going to say, if your name's Kingsley, you should be the Goblin King. It's just obvious. I don't know.
Yeah, but orange looks better on me, though.
You could just make it work, you know. Just because one person has orange doesn't mean you can't use orange, okay? Like you're part of the whole goblin thing. Like, what? You're not gonna use pumpkins?
I never thought of that, but you're so right. Kingsley should be the Goblin King because he has King in his name.
Just take a step back, everybody. Just think about that. So, all right, this is still Slott though. Slott's still writing this book, right? And
this one's Bendis.
Is it Bendis?
No, this
one's
Bendis.
Sorry.
Yeah, Miles says Bendis.
Thank you.
I mean, Bendis is Miles.
Right, okay. So, Bendis on the other side of everything that's changed now. How do you feel about it?
It didn't bother me.
Okay. Because, like, here's the thing. Those of us who read Infamous, the ending of that, you know what I mean?
I haven't actually gotten to it yet.
Infamous Iron Man's ending, I won't spoil it for you, but, like, I'm not a fan of the way it ended. It really just, took a turn down a road I didn't want.
Sounds like Bendis.
I didn't want to go down that way.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, there's certain characters Bendis can really write for.
I think as far as, like, Bendis being Bendis, with this specific issue, and I feel like with this Spider-Man book as a whole, disregarding Spider-Man too, it's fine. You have to look for problems. Like, there's not a lot of... The only big, like, glaring continuity thing I could think of, and you really have to look for it because it's not important to the story, is since this is set after Secret Empire, Miles seems like he's completely forgotten about it. But that's because, like, if you just read Bendis' Spider-Man with Miles, it never happened, basically. It's never mentioned.
Right.
So according to Bendis, Secret Empire, nope, didn't happen.
He doesn't want to acknowledge it yet. Maybe someday he will, but
I don't think
which is a shame because Miles went through a lot in Secret Empire. You'd think that would weigh on his mind a little bit,
right?
And that's why some people might be frustrated by it. But I feel like it's not super important, and it's not like it doesn't feel like Bendis spitting in the face of Nick Spencer. It just feels like Bendis doing his thing,
right?
And it's not offensive at all.
Let me ask you this for myself. Is this a good jumping on point for someone like me who fell off the Miles book after Civil War II but wants to get back in there now because I like the Sinister Six idea?
If you can, if you're fine trudging through a little bit of you might be confused by the relationships between the characters a little bit, but if you're just focusing on the Spider-Man stuff and the Sinister Six being built up, you could probably enjoy it, yeah.
Okay. All right, then.
All right, that's awesome. All right, guys, that was Spider-Man number 234. Again, like, you're totally right. The whole numbering thing is totally throwing me right now. But we'll get into the groove. We'll figure it out. A Bendis title, so, you know, take that with a grain of salt. Know in your heart of hearts that sometimes the man can tell a good story when he cares enough to actually finish it out.
Right.
But you know, let's
When he
go back.
tries.
Yeah, he does. He certainly does. Let's go back over to DC for a little bit. Superman number 34. Joel, how are things going with Superman and Apocalypse and all? That's what this is, correct? Yep.
This,
Okay.
that is this one. Well, I'm glad to say, Tiff, you and I were 100% on the money when we said that, man, wouldn't it be cool if Lois joined the Female Furies? Well, that's exactly what happened.
Are you serious? That was like my I'm throwing a dart at the board and oh, that's a fun concept.
It's great because she starts being a prisoner, obviously.
Okay.
But then they get attacked by a giant Star Wars sandworm, and Lois manages to escape, grabs one of the Fury's guns, and assists them in killing this sandworm. And Granny Goodness is like, oh, you're hype as hell. I see something in you. Tell you what, here's some armor and a gun. You know, we've only ever had one female Fury from Earth before, Eliana Hubbard, which was like a Mr. Miracle thing from way back, so they're deep diving on continuity.
Okay.
But, you know, Granny Goodness, she's a collector. She's like, oh, you know, I like to have a female Fury from all over the place, and you seem sick as hell. And Lois is like, well, I guess to survive, I should put on this armor and take this gun, huh? To go find my family.
Well, that's awesome.
It's really cool. Like, I mean, they do a really good job in the Superman book showing what a badass Lois is, and this is like, you know, the chicken's coming home to roost in that, where she's like, I don't need my husband or my son, I got this, I got a laser gun.
I assume it's also like, okay, I have to find my son. I don't have powers, okay? At least now I have a gun.
Yeah.
This is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. And at the other end of the story, we have Luthor, who has been taken hostage by his own followers, essentially, who are like, hey, after the Darkseid War, you said you were our champion that was promised to us. You know, a hero would come from Earth and he would lead us after Darkseid's death into a new golden age. But, you know, you kind of just left us and went and did Earth stuff and pretended like we didn't matter. And Luthor's like, okay, so I did all of that, and I'm not going to lie. But, you know, Earth needs my help. You know, they're all soft and squishy. They constantly need help. You Apocalypse people, you had it going on. It was fine. And they're like, yeah, that's not good enough. Only for Luthor to be like, all right, so I see you people aren't going to let me go on this one. I guess you'd find out eventually. I lied about your whole prophecy. I'm not actually that dude. I've been conning you this whole time. But I brought you Superman, though, and he's totally the guy your prophecy was talking about. Go worship him and let me go.
Thanks, Luthor.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's a wonderful comedy of errors. And then at the smaller side of the story, we have John, who is all on his own in Apocalypse, and he's being tracked down by the hellhounds of Darkseid, and he's having to run all over the place. And did we lose Dylan there? And he's back.
I don't. Skype keeps
The hellhounds of Apocalypse got him.
Oh no!
Dragging him away to the fire pits.
Tragic.
But yeah, it was a cool issue.
So at any point in time, does since they're all in 3 different places, do they each sing a song that the other is singing simultaneously?
Look, like American Tail, like they're all looking up at the same moon on Apocalypse.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I don't know what that would really. That's kind of a scary version of that.
Little bit. I mean, hey, if it didn't happen this issue, we predicted it, so it might happen in the next issue.
I really hope not. Like, the other thing I really was like, that could happen and that would be really cool, but that would not be okay. Not a fan. Don't want that. But, alright, so Superman number 34, this was kind of an interesting arc. Not that it started off slow, but, I was kind of like, alright, cool, we're kind of, picking up pace. Especially last issue was, alright, cool, we're finally getting into, the meat and potatoes of this, and it sounds like we finally kind of hit our stride, with this issue in this arc. Which, again, I know part of it, look, a lot of what's going to be happening, I'm sure, in Superman, the pacing of stories are probably going to revolve around Doomsday Clock.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, keep that in mind, everybody, while you're reading a lot of these stories that are going to be integral, and all these characters are going to be integral to this overarching event that'll be coming from DC, that, things, you might see, a random, issue here and there just to pace things out so that they can do certain things. I'm not saying this is a bad arc, again, it seems like this really hit its stride this week, or this month.
It did.
So, that's awesome, and I look forward to actually getting a chance to sit there and read it and just see where the story goes. But you know what? Staying in DC and actually in the cosmos in general, here's a book that you never see on the show, Green Lanterns, number 34. Dylan, What's going on with the Green Lanterns?
So a lot of things.
Many.
They just got done again. I like just caught up on a bunch of books. So Green Lanterns especially and Batman, like the past 2 story arcs are fresh in my mind. So they just got done like coming back from the beginning of time, basically.
Oh.
Okay.
To meet the first Green Lanterns ever, which I didn't know had never been established before, but apparently they hadn't.
Like,
so
just the Green Lanterns in general from the core, or like specifically from
the first 7 that
Okay.
were granted like the first 7 Green Lantern rings that were created.
So the ones after the guy who calls himself the First Lantern.
Yeah.
Before, okay.
and then they became like ring wraiths, or I don't know. Anyway,
That would be great.
That's a story.
No, but so that story arc wrapped up, and then they're kind of in like a weird in between like decompression story arc right now, where Jessica and Simon are trying to find like real jobs outside of being space cops.
what is it? That must be hard to put on the resume.
Right. And that's something that they actually deal with, especially with
your work history right here.
Right, because there's a scene where Jessica is applying to be just a waitress at this local cafe, and the guy interviewing her is like, so there's this 4-year gap of unemployment. Did you go to school or something? And she's like, oh no, I witnessed a really bad I think she says crime, but she witnessed a murder and then developed severe agoraphobia and didn't leave my apartment for 4 years.
But she's
and
not
he's like,
lying.
Yeah, and the guy's like, maybe we should start you in the kitchen. See how you deal with stress.
That's too bad that they can't put that down like Green Lantern. Be like, I'm sorry, how exactly being a Green Lantern does that apply to you being a waitress? I'm not exactly sure what skills.
Plate constructs.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Exactly. You seem a
Never
little.
have to wash a dish.
You seem a little overqualified for this position.
Yeah. That's being overqualified is something that Simon deals with. These
Are you
great
serious?
Yeah. So Simon applies for a job as like a, I'm sure they have a title. The guys who like change tires in races, car races.
Oh, pit crew.
Yeah, he applies to be a pit crew boy, and it's actually pretty like real and kind of messed up, but he is completely upfront about it. He's like, hey, I used to be like a criminal dude and got caught up in something way over my head once. So just in the interest of full disclosure, if you look up my name, you'll see news articles about me with my picture there and the word terrorist floating around.
Yeah, they thought I was a terrorist, which is
Right.
a pretty dark way to start my origin, but it's
Right. So the lady who's interviewing him is real nice about it, and she's like, that's probably fine. But then he goes back in, and she's like, we need to be able to fully trust everyone, and these guys out there, I don't think that they're going to be able to fully trust you if they look up that and see that about you.
Oh.
And then she's like, but here's a season pass if you want to come watch us every week. And you're like, all right, I
silver
guess.
lining.
That's something. I mean, you can't eat a season pass, but like, okay.
But they end up kind of solving things by going to save a planet full of, I think they're not moloids. They make a joke about them sounding like moloids. It's a similar name, but they go and save a planet full of these creatures who want to die because of a religious thing.
Oh.
The whole time they're chanting, we perish, and you're like, whoa, what's going on?
So they're like
here?
a planet of lemmings who want to jump off the cliff.
Yeah,
How
because
about this? The lemmings don't want to do that. They're just driven to do that.
they think that their god is like the destruction of their planet is their god telling them that they did what they needed to do, so now it's time for them to. It's basically like the second coming. They're like, nope, you're ready, go, bye. And the whole time Simon and Jessica are like, no, and eventually they save them and convince them that they need to live and they're worth it. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you save people who don't want to be saved? That seems like a real uphill battle.
a classic superhero motivational speech that'll do the trick.
Solid.
But yeah, that all kind of wraps up, and they go for pancakes as they
Nice.
do, and Simon is now living in space. So
Oh,
Well, I mean, look, he can't get a job here. He's got to live somewhere.
Why not
In like
space?
he's like in a tiny little apartment that is in the shape of the Green Lantern.
Oh, that's cool.
It's pretty neat.
That's one for MTV Cribs.
Did
Yo,
he-
and here's my lantern crib.
Did he make that? Is that provided?
I don't know. The way that they showed it, I assumed it was like a thing that another Green Lantern lived in the past, and now he's just living in it. That's what I kind of got, but I don't know that.
I'm just imagining people like rolling up on that and be like, "This is a little on the nose, don't you think?"
I guess he
Just
couldn't
an
just live in the
orbiting Green
Watchtower forever, huh? I guess that would be a little much. Like Superman be like, "Geez, Simon, man, you're doing your laundry, you're getting it mixed in with
Just wave
mine."
to each other.
Yeah,
From
exactly.
across space. Hey,
Yeah.
want to play some board games?
Can I borrow a cup of space sugar?
Yeah, they don't use real sugar.
Yeah.
In space.
No.
Space sugar.
Damn it, Simon! Stop using the Justice League Wi-Fi password in your space house.
Oh, that's great.
All right, so overall, I mean, like, how do you feel about Green Lanterns as a jumping on point for people right now?
This issue, if again, I'm pretty sure I'm melding a couple issues here,
Sure.
but this issue I think is probably a fine jumping on point. If not this one, then the one before this, because I'm
Cool.
pretty sure the one before this was the like decompression between 7 Green Lantern boys and pancakes. So that one would be a better jumping on point than this one, I think. But
Right.
yeah, I think this is one of my favorite DC books.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I just really love Jessica and Simon's relationship.
They're
I think
good together.
yeah, Sam Humphries as a writer sometimes gets a little bit
Mm.
too I don't know, maybe a little bit too campy sometimes,
Okay.
but with them always being like, "All right, partner, let's go, partner. You ready, partner?" I'm like, "All right,
Right.
stop saying partner."
You're like, all
Very-
right.
They're not
very Adam
cowboys.
West.
Yeah, exactly. We're not in a Western.
Yeah.
It's
But overall,
flat.
yeah, I really enjoy Green
All right,
Lanterns, and that's
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 awesome.
coming from someone who does not care about the Green Lantern mythos.
Oh, all right. That's kind of
It's-
cool, though. That you know what that says a lot, though, because there could be a lot of people out there who aren't really into the Green Lantern mythos
Yeah.
at all. So, like, that you saying something like that, this might be a place for them that they might be able to get into it a little bit more. Personally, I'm waiting for Jon Stewart to come back, but I feel like that's never going to happen.
He
so-
shows up a couple times
Does he?
in this book in like one panel. He gave him
Did-
some speech about how they need to protect more than just Earth because they're
I'm not
the
gonna lie,
whole sector.
Dylan. I need a little more than a panel.
Did,
Nope, that's all you
did-
get.
did-
One
did-
panel.
Speaking of John Stewart tip, did you read Nightwing New Order #3? He shows up in that
For more than a panel?
a couple more panels, but he's the stooge of the evil New World Order government.
Huh.
Anyway, moving on to Marvel. So, guys, Captain America came out this week. Captain America number
did.
695, the Legacy book. We're starting the Home of the Brave, Part 1. This is Cap after the whole thing with Hydra and all that. Like, this is really
Yep.
Cap. This is like Steve Rogers Cap.
What is it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Is it really Cap, or is it a
I was thinking
collection
about
of
that earlier,
Kubrick's
'cause it's not.
dreams?
It's Kobik Cap.
Right, but in a sense, like, in my opinion, Cap has always been like this like symbol of hope, and that's what he
Yeah.
is now. So
Don't
I
think about it too much.
Totally works.
Mark Waid literally says, "Don't think about this too much."
Right. Because the more you think about it, the more it falls apart.
Exactly.
That's fine.
This is Mark Waid and Chris Samney coming together to create literally like a slice of Americana in a book. This is like Mark Waid wanted like to do like Superman, but in the Marvel universe, and like that is what we get. And I really enjoyed it. I've said this time and again, I'm not a huge Captain America reader. I really am not. Like, so like when we did Secret Empire, I was like, all right, I gotta read about all this Cap and stuff. But like this, I loved every moment of this. I loved the art for this. I loved the like very heartwarming story. Just like very much like it's like easing into a really hot bathtub. Like I was just like,
Oh yeah.
like
Aw.
okay, I don't know about this, and then you're like, this is fantastic. This is absolutely amazing. We get to see like a very brief like splash page, not splash page, but like first page of like, guys, if for some reason you don't know who Captain America is and like what his whole deal is, here are like 5 panels to tell you everything you need to know about where Captain America came from. It's like World War II, little guy, buff guy, punching guys, fell in the ocean, I'm an ice block and I'm back. Like literally that's all you need to really establish what's going on with Captain America. We then end up essentially like in the past where we see Cap like taking out a a group of, what are they called, the rampant
Yeah.
the rampart.
Rampant, yeah.
Yeah, it's something where it's like, why would you call yourselves that?
More costumed super terrorists with white supremacist leanings.
Exactly. I still don't dig the name even remotely, but like they're a bad guy group, so fine, whatever.
They're supposed to be jobber villains. It's like, oh my god, look at this. These guys couldn't shine Hydra's boots.
No, these guys are terrible. But regardless, they put themselves in a very dangerous situation for a bunch of kids who are on a field trip, and of course Cap shows up to their aid, kicks all their butts, very heroic, very inspiring, and then is gone. And 10 years later, we see him post, Hydra Cap, returning to the town for seemingly unknown reasons, and the town has renamed itself Captain America.
Like Batman Turkey.
Exactly, in honor of him and what he did for the town, and the hope and the joy and all that he brought to it. There's a whole festival that goes on every single year. It's open to anyone who'd like to come, who's had an experience with Captain America, to share it. They've got costume contests. They've got pie, I'm sure. They have, like, memorabilia. Just all kinds of things you can do at this essentially, like, Captain America celebration festival of sorts. Steve is in standard Steve clothes, and he's just wandering around. Someone, like, says, like, oh, not a bad costume. And I'm like, oh, we're doing that whole thing,
They
right?
think he's a cosplayer. That's pretty great.
They're like, it's pretty good. Not bad. Not bad.
Steve Rogers came third in a Steve Rogers lookalike contest.
Exactly. We find out that people have various conspiracy theories about the origin of Captain America.
You're one of them icers, eh?
Yeah.
Thinking that Captain America was frozen in ice. You know what? I think the government just puts a new guy in the suit every couple of years, which is hilarious because they're both right.
Yeah,
exactly.
right. So, like, very cute way to in a very brief amount of time, establish a lot of continuity for Captain America, kind of where we are, what we expect to see, what the status quo is. We then move on to, like, a, like, stage show thing, essentially, where people can come up and be like, explain how Captain America changed their lives, or just something about Captain America they want to say. And we see all different things about, like, how, like, someone's, like, life was saved. Like, he was in a burning building, and Cap went in and got him, and, like, he was, like, burnt and hurt and, like, beaten and stuff, and he went right back in to save other people. We see a kid who's inspired by a YouTube video, essentially, of Cap standing up to, I can't remember if it was Hydra or Nazis or whatever, and from that, the kid learns, his own strength and is able to stand up to his bullies. It's just all these different things, even, like, down to being simple as he's really handsome. Like,
yeah,
it's the gambit of reasons that people would enjoy Captain America, and that's about the time.
Everyone has a different view.
Exactly, everyone has a different view, and Cap's really, like, helped people in various ways. That's about the time that the Rampart show back up, and they're like, hey, we 10 years ago, we finally got ourselves together, so let's not talk about that.
Jeez, you guys weren't in a rush to get yourselves back together.
Well, look, like, Jim over there, like, he had to hit a job, and then, like, he had a kid, and so, like, we had to wait for that, and then, like, it just all started to fall apart. But
the funniest part is that it's a small town, so clearly the townspeople know who these Rampart guys. It's like, Jeff, get off the freaking stage, man.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Who's watching the gas station, Jeff?
Yeah, precisely. So, of course they're like, yeah, we started here, that's how we're gonna do it now, we're gonna take over this town, and immediately, like, Cap's shield, like, flies through all their guns, destroying them, and, like, Steve Rogers does the very classic, like, superhero thing where he's ripping open his shirt and, like, his coat and his costumes underneath it. He's also simultaneously catching his shield, thus showing that Steve Rogers really does have superpowers, everybody, because it takes a lot to be able to coordinate that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm not only ripping my clothes off, I also have not flung any of my buttons off. I'm clearly using some sort of snaps, and I caught my shield.
Here's a Velcro shirt.
Right?
It's Pym particles, Ant-Man made it for him.
Right.
Speed Force.
We then see Cap heroically defeating the Rampart, and, like, in very, very classic heroic images of Captain America. Again, harkening back to a pure time of Cap, a time where Cap was not affected by Hydra, wasn't sullied by anything that happened in Secret Empire. Just a very pure, iconic version of this character. And then afterwards, he explains, he says, like, hey guys, I wasn't really here for your festival. I was just here because I knew the Rampart were coming back. And, like, I really, like, you make me very uncomfortable. When everyone makes a big fuss about me, and, like, if you could just not, like, kick dirt kind of thing. And everyone immediately is just like, dude, you're awesome and you're a hero. And he's just like, no, look, see that lady over there? Like, she's helping that guy and she could have been shot. And, like, that guy, you know what I mean? Like, he's literally immediately...
First responders are the real heroes.
Yeah, he's very much just like, no, look, like, everyone else here can be a hero. Like, I just kind of wear a costume. And that's about the time that we see a girl from the beginning who he helped to save and, like... told, like, she was bigger than this other boy she was with, and he told her
That was really nice
to
touch.
protect him, like the little boy, because she was bigger, and that's what you have to do. And she shows back up, and she still has the American flag that he had wrapped around her after, like, the fight had occurred. And she says that, you know, like, that's part of the rules. You got to take care of, you know, those who are smaller than you. And then Cap salutes and rides off on his motorcycle. It's just like, hey, if you never want to read another Captain America book, fine. You could just read this and be like, cool, that was a lot of fun. That made me feel really good. I don't need to know what happens after this. Or you could. This could be your, like, gateway into Captain America here. Mark Waid did a phenomenal job of, again, capturing Americana, capturing the essence of Steve Rogers, and just being like, hey, this is where we're going right now. It's very old school. It's very hopeful. It's very iconic, and it's very superhero.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. That's it, guys. That's Captain America number 695.
I have a question about it.
Match made in heaven.
How do you guys feel about that 10-year jump?
Just in general? Or like how they handle
Just
it in the book.
Marvel timeline speaking.
Well, we don't know when exactly.
That is a very cemented date that we don't normally get.
Yeah, when was that 10 years versus now? Because we're on a sliding time scale.
Right.
Because that, according to the generally accepted rule of 4 years our time is 1 year Marvel time.
Yeah.
That 10-year jump doesn't make any sense.
No, it
should
really
be
does
20
not.
years or about that. So it's interesting to me.
It's like you said, if you pull a thread, the sweater unfolds. You know what got me? It's the bit where it's like, oh, so, you know, Steve had his name dragged through the mud by Hydra and his doppelganger and everything, but he's still getting festivals and parades in the Heartland. Meanwhile, Sam in his book
they kind of mentioned it, though.
Yeah, they did.
But meanwhile, Sam in his book fought against the evil empire. People are like, oh, well, we don't know if we can trust that Falcon. He was given the shield by the evil doppelganger. He saved the world, everybody. Why are you still up Sam's ass?
No, it's very true. However, I mean, and it's a one panel. It's one panel in this book, but they really do address that where they're just like, the fact is, like, Cap, you know, like, this Cap, like, beat up a guy who looked like, or was trying to pretend to be Cap, essentially, and they're like, and sure, there are naysayers out there, but they're like, but they're not here. Essentially, they're saying, like, the only reason you're at the festival is because you love Captain America.
I think
it's the real America at this festival.
Yeah, and I honestly, I wish we had that panel to go back in time to when the Hail Hydra thing was first revealed and show that to people to be like, look, this is the point of this story arc, to make Captain America a stronger character and redeem him.
Yeah.
Not to ruin him. Calm down, everybody.
Please.
No, he, like a phoenix, he rose from the ashes. Even stronger than before, and without the Phoenix Force. So...
Not yet, anyway.
Just you wait.
I really don't want that. Let's move on from Marvel, go back over to DC for a little bit, and talk about one of the 3 Batman titles we're talking about here today. Batman number 34. Dylan, what's going on with Batman?
So much. He's getting married, everybody.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's a wild time.
Wedding of the century.
Yep.
That no one can know about.
Secret
wedding gift. The secret wedding registry issue.
Exactly. What does he need a registry for? He does everything.
Bat
super rich.
Things.
Yeah. He's like, can I put batarangs on the registry? She's like, no.
Can I put kryptonite on the registry? Just
really?
So I don't have to find it?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no. Batman 34 it's a good time. So it's the second part to Rules of Engagement, which is not dealing with the 3 Jokers like I thought we were gonna do, but that's fine. King, Tom, Boy, stick to your guns.
I kind of feel
anyway.
like we're never gonna address that.
We're not.
They just keep moving the goalposts on that. Oh yeah, next arc for sure. Next.
Yeah, every
next
time.
Next arc, the next one.
Like after the War of Jokes and Riddles, right? No, they're getting married. After that, right? No. But so yeah, basically what's happened? It's just this issue's kind of just a big fight scene between Talia al Ghul and Batman and Catwoman. Why are they there? I forgot why they're there.
They never told us why they were
Okay,
there.
we don't know
in
yet?
It
two
hasn't
issues.
been revealed,
They,
no.
they mention Holly Robinson, which leads
Yes.
me to believe they're there to collect her to clear Catwoman's name
Okay,
from the
yeah.
237 murders, which is such a specific number.
makes
It'll
it
probably mean
real.
something. It's Tom King. It probably means some like backwater thing that he's like, oh, this is the amount of cases I worked on when I was in the CIA, but don't tell
Exactly.
anyone.
Yeah.
What do they mean in
everyone.
letters? What's 237 in letters?
Oh no, let's get a Polybius square out real quick.
It's nothing.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Okay,
fair
good.
enough.
Glad someone
Moving on.
smarter than me looked into that.
It would be, I think it's BCG.
Batman.
Gordon, Batman,
Catwoman.
Cat.
They're gonna have a son named Gordon, and Gordon's gonna die.
Oh, that'd
There.
be cute. I mean, not the death
Oh.
part, but the son named Gordon part.
Yeah,
would be
death
cute.
part.
Gordon
Yeah,
Wayne.
the death part's the best part. Anyway,
Incredible. Yeah. So Batman 34. It's a good time. I am sometimes to a fault a very big fan of Tom King. And I know some people in the comic pop over there don't like Tom King as much as some, but
Some people in the Cape Joel too, which
Yeah,
is I'm glad you're taking this one.
no. I really like Tom King, and I try to like reel that in occasionally, because I know he's not infallible, and he's not like the best writer on the planet. He just the way he writes really speaks to me personally.
okay, that's
so
totally fair.
Which is nice.
and I will admit this arc is not. The first issue was real great. Of this arc, 33 was really fun. Especially seeing everyone's reaction to, or the Bat family's reaction to them getting married was just really well done.
He writes the family really well. For all
Yeah.
my problems with how he does Batman, he gets the family and he gets the kids a lot.
I think so. But for this, and not to like bog down this issue, it's fun, but it is just a big fight scene mostly. There are some fun moments. There's Superman is there guarding the and again it's a Bat family moment. Superman's guarding the entrance to whatever it's called.
Wherever we are we in another
Kadir
country?
or
Are we in
something?
another
I think so.
dimension? They never
I don't
tell
know.
us.
But it's Dick and Damian are there, and they're like, hey, let us in, you Superman. And Superman's like, no. And then he flies off. At some point he flies off to go, there's an invasion in Central City apparently.
Mhm.
And he flies off, and Damian's like, maybe I can get in now. And Dick's like, he can still see you from Central City. God damn it, I know.
Such a wonderful moment where it's like, wow, even Tom King gets this idea that Dick is the adult in the room and that he's been more of a father figure to Damian than
Right.
Bruce has, where it's like Damian doesn't go because Dick told him to,
Mhm.
and he'll actually listen to Dick. He's one of the only people he will listen to.
Oh, and I just remember there's this, I think it's in the last issue, but there's this really fun moment where Damian cries because Batman and Catwoman are getting married, and everyone's like, oh god, this is real. Damian Wayne is crying.
No going back now.
Nope. But no, I think this is a really fun thing that's happening. I think, honestly, I think a large part of why I love Tom King and Tom King's Batman specifically so much is because it's the first, other than Scott Snyder's Batman, it's like the first ongoing Batman title that I've read.
Okay.
And it was the first, not Batman itself, but Rebirth is where I started reading DC
Right.
as it came out. And Batman was one of the first titles I got really excited for because I read Tom King's Vision, and I was like, oh my
Which is
god.
wonderful.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I was like, oh good. Now they're letting Tom King hold on to one of the most popular comic book characters ever. And I'm sure that was worrisome to a lot of people who have read Batman comics from a variety of different writers, including Scott Snyder. But for me, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I've enjoyed what I've read. So, yeah.
There you go.
That's awesome. No, that's great. And again, it's nice to hear a different perspective. I like Tom King, but I'm not a huge fan of his Batman. I
Sure.
mean, again, I think there's plenty of like really great moments, but just overall, I haven't been blown away. I'm loving his Mr. Miracle right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like such a phenomenal.
Need to catch up on that.
You should. Like, for me, like that's
It's great.
the best thing that Tom King is writing right
Yeah.
now is Mr. Miracle. It's just so strong. It's so good. But
I can't wait for his Swamp Thing special that's coming out.
Right, but it's also really nice
Oh, yeah.
to hear like a a reader who hasn't been like, super into Batman and their perspective on Tom King, because again, like for those of us who know various Batmans, who know different writers on Batman, it's easy to compare, and like
Right.
it's difficult to imagine coming in for the first time, or not even for the first time, but kind of early in, and to experience King's Batman. So I think that was really awesome to have that perspective and have you talk about that. So thank you.
Most yeah.
What do we all think of Tom King's Kite Man?
Kite Man. Oh, I mean, how can you not fall in love with his Kite Man? He basically
Good.
makes an argument that he's the greatest character of all time.
Because he is.
And he spends a whole arc telling you, like, basically, I think Kite Man is better than Batman, and these are my reasons why.
Look, I wrote a really melodramatic video about Tom King's Kite Man last night, and I'm excited to make it.
I've got mixed feelings about that whole thing.
Hey.
No, and my mixed feelings
Talk
are
to me about Kite
Tom
Man.
King, if you wanted to write a Kite Man story, then you should have called it Kite Man. You should have had enough belief that it would have sold, not put it into a Batman book and pretended to
That's fair.
make it about Batman, but it's not.
That's
Anyway,
not. Don't blame Tom King for that. You think DC would let him have a Kite Man book?
I
Never.
do.
I don't know
They
about that.
let him write a Mr. Miracle book.
That's pretty
Because-
fair.
Mr. Miracle is an established character. Kite Man hadn't shown up in like 10 years.
I truly believe if he had been like, I want a Kite Man mini, they would have been like, all right.
He does seem to be writing his own checks over there these days.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I'm just saying. But moving away from Batman for a little bit, we'll be back to Batman at the end of the show. Avengers number 673 came out. Joel, because of the 237, I really wanted to call it 637. I'm like, stop.
Same.
no.
It's very weird.
673 Avengers.
So this is the penultimate issue of the Worlds Collide crossover between Avengers and Champions. Very interesting choice that they chose that to kick off the Marvel Legacy line with a big crossover. But they've kept it nice and short. They've kept it to the point. The High Evolutionary is prepping the planet Earth for a great phase shifting where essentially Counter-Earth and our Earth will come into contact with each other and only one will be left standing at the end of it. And I'm sure he's hoping it will be his Earth. Because why would he do that if he hoped that Earth would win? They kind of, in this issue, they kind of make it like it's up in the air. Like, yeah, we're phasing back and forth. Stuff from our Earth, like Falcon and Viv, are ending up on Counter-Earth, and stuff from Counter-Earth, like the High Evolutionary's army, is ending up here, and we don't know what could happen. It's a total crapshoot.
So,
Yeah, the chat. I was pretty sure on this, but I was waiting for them to confirm. This isn't the penultimate issue. This is like the middle of the story.
I thought they
I think
said to
there's-
be concluded in the next part. I could be completely wrong.
I think there's like 3 issues left.
Okay, if it is the it would be a weird place to end it penultimately. I will not lie.
so
This one's kind of weird.
I'm sorry. We're doing another thing where like the Earth is in like peril, correct?
Yes.
Like the entire planet is in peril,
Yeah.
The whole big blue orb.
And, like-
Welcome to Marvel.
and only a couple of teams have showed up. Essentially.
Only the 2.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, they're the first responders. They're on
Yeah.
this.
Okay. But it's not.
See, it's not an event, so not everyone's going to show up.
Exactly.
That's how it
there you
works.
go.
But, like,
It's just a crossover.
But like, so like, what are you telling me that like, other superheroes are like, no, I know that's going on over there, but like, I got laundry.
They got this. They got Spider-Man. They got Falcon
Like,
and the Vision. They got
Wendy's is open.
Yeah.
Gotta get me a 6-piece
Taco
and some
Bell's
Dippin'
got that
Dots.
new egg taco thing. I gotta try it. I gotta try
Earth can save itself.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
We got our own business. So yeah, Falcon and Viv get taken to Counter-Earth. It's funny that we're 3 issues in and only now is the High Evolutionary making his presence known. And I got to admit, I do actually like, because this is Wade too, actually. I like Wade's interpretation of the High Evolutionary, where he's just so high on himself, so just smelling his own farts, like, oh, I'm the god of my own world. Oh, Falcon, what's that? Artificial wings? That's just sloppy craftsmanship right there. Take him to the laboratory and get him some real bird wings, please.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how that resolves.
Maybe someone doesn't want that. Like,
Maybe not.
here's the thing. You could just get regular, the metal ones, and those can come off. You can take those off.
Uh.
The real ones, though, that's like an everyday thing. That's a change out your whole wardrobe kind of thing. Because
Yeah,
coats
really.
aren't going to fit anymore.
No, they're not. You got to get all that stuff that Angel Warren Worthington is wearing in the X-Men, all those jackets that hide your big bird wings.
Warren's like, and trust me, it's a pain in the ass, I gotta tell you. It's just not good.
All my clothes, custom man, just friggin', just not even. Viv is interesting because the High Evolutionary takes a very weird, very creepy obsession with Viv's like, oh, you're a synthezoid made by another synthezoid. Oh, that's interesting. You know, I play God all the time, and your father kind of played God when he created you out of nothing. I think I can make some improvements to you, though. And so...
I'm actually super interested in what they're doing with Viv and Vision.
Oh, yeah. Well,
they've played with them as, like, a thing, and I'm so glad that... Because Viv is a creation of Tom King.
Yes,
and,
yes, she is.
She's, like, the only part left from his Vision series, which, regardless of what you think about it, most people like it, I'm sure, but even if you hated it, it still did a huge thing to Vision in stripping his emotions, giving him a family, and then doing things to said family. And Viv is still here, and they've been doing things with her character, and for some reason also doing what seems like worse things to Vision's character.
Very much so.
Real shady about it.
They
so I'm
really
super interested to see what that means.
I'm glad you bring that up because the real through line of the Worlds Collide story is the relationship between Viv and Vision, and that is they're not really seeing eye to eye right now. Viv is going through that classic teenage rebellious phase. You know, you don't always got to be helicopter parenting me, Dad. I know what I'm doing. Just let me hang out with my champion friends. Jeez,
God,
we're saving the day. We're blowing up social media. And the High Evolutionary in this is like, I think I can make some improvements to you. And essentially what he does is he makes Viv human.
Yeah.
He turns a synthezoid into a human.
But did he?
I don't know.
I don't know what he did.
I'm sure there's some animal DNA in there, too. He loves his animals, the High Evolutionary. I'm sure there's some cat in there somewhere.
That's okay.
There's also... I don't want to get... All right.
So, no, please do. This is the show. Go for it.
You could stop me if this is too much, but can we talk about the elephant in the room?
You mean the elephant man in the room? Because there was a lot of elephant men in this issue.
No. So, you know how Viv and Vision are pink? They're like pink. Yes. They're straight up pink.
Yeah.
Why is High Evolutionary turning her into a human? Why is she black?
That's the DNA he had sitting around.
But I'm curious to see, is Vision black too?
I mean, I always kind of considered them to be racially neutral, but now that you mention it, yeah.
So I was like, maybe she'd be yellow, or just pink.
It's true. That's a hell of a question.
I don't know if it because, and this is not. This is why I was worried to come to say this because. I'm not a racist, trust me.
You're opening a can of worms when you do.
Right, exactly.
Oh, no, I'm talking about race on the internet. Someone help me. I'm
mostly curious, I want to know if it matters or if Wade just, like, spun a wheel and was like, yeah,
I think it's that.
This is her skin color. So that's what I want to know if it's going to be a thing that matters and if she's going to stay in this form or if it's just like, whatever, which I'd like it to be just a whatever.
I don't know. My question though, not relating to that. So essentially, did they like Pinocchio her, or is this like when Data got skin in like?
They seem to be making it a Pinocchio thing.
Yeah, the High Evolutionary was just like, hey, let's give you some upgrades, and then the last page reveal is her. She looks like a human, and she has like a pink strand of hair now as well, and I don't know. It's very strange. I don't understand what's happening.
Well, the High Evolutionary is a stylist too, and he's like, yes, the Suicide Girl look is very in this year. Gonna give you a shot of pink. You're gonna be one of them cool alternative girls.
The other thing that's confusing to me, and I know that the High Evolutionary is not specifically well, he kind of is. Well, not really. Sorry, I'm contradicting myself before I say something. because he's most known for injecting animal DNA into other people, and that pretty much held true. Even if the character still looked human, Spider-Woman, there was still like an animal in there in some capacity. But then Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch came along and they revealed that happened, and they're which is animals
the canon now. That is the thing. They are creations of him now. That's still canon.
So I don't know if he's just like, hey, I'm a human maker now.
He goes through phases. He's like Van Gogh had his
God
blue
phase
period.
right now.
Yeah.
They're gonna make Ultron a person. So
they kind of did. He's half human now.
No, that's just Pimtron.
But that's what's cool about Pimtron. We don't know who's in the driver's seat in that relationship, or if it's a combination of personalities.
Right?
Who knows?
It's like, never. I was gonna make a Gargoyles reference. Anyway,
no, please do. This is the show for it.
No, it's not. We're moving on for Avengers number 673. Possibly with more questions than we had before we even started talking about Avengers.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna roll into Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man number 6.
Oh God,
Dylan.
This book
is so fun.
It is. Thank you. I'm glad we agree.
I was a little bit worried reading, because I read 3 issues of it today, and before this issue I was like, I got into this book because I wanted like fun, I wanted lighthearted humor Spider-Man,
fresh air.
Yeah, and what I'm getting in like the back half of this story arc is Spider-Man protecting a character I don't care about, and not a lot of jokes happening. But then this issue happens. It's issue 6, right?
Yes.
Cool. And so basically, J. Jonah Jameson, obviously he has a vendetta against Spider-Man. He always has. And he has some choice information regarding Peter Parker's sister, who is like on the run. And basically the premise of this issue is Jameson snagged an interview with Spider-Man.
Yes.
And he invites him to his home to cook him a nice lasagna. and they sit down and have an interview. And it is so much fun. They basically hash everything out over some lasagna.
That's awesome.
And it gets real at certain points where Jameson is like yelling at Spider-Man, being like, "You hide behind that mask. You're no better than any of these crooked criminals out there." Blah blah blah, being classic Jameson.
Oh yeah.
And there's these flashes of stuff that his dead wife was telling him as she was dying, and you're like, oh God, he's become everything he wanted not to become. And it gets to a point where a thing happens that I don't want to spoil, because the reason it happens and the way that it happens, and I'm pretty sure it hasn't. It's a big thing that's integral to Spider-Man's character, and it's happened before, but it's never stuck, and it's never happened in this way. And
I think I know where you're going with this. I haven't read it yet, but my brain has made the jump, and I'm even more interested to read this now than I was before. Yeah,
if you kind of know what I'm talking about, then it's a fascinating thing that happens, and I don't know. It's hard for me to describe how fun and like heartbreaking this issue is at the same time without you just reading it, but. It's a lot of fun. I think it was needed. It was definitely needed, this little interlude between, because the last issue ended on, oh, we got to go arrest Peter Parker now.
Right.
Rah. And then I was like, oh God, just end the story arc next so that we can do a different thing. And then they were like, but first, dinner with Jameson. And you're like, yeah.
You're like, okay. So
let's do it.
Between the 2 Spider-Man books that you read this week, which one did you like better?
Probably this one.
Yeah.
Overall, probably the Miles book, but this, like, issue versus issue, definitely this one, just because it was more fun, and it's something that I haven't seen in a while.
That's really cool. Now, of course, you mentioned this is kind of in the middle of an arc. You said, is that?
Yeah.
So
I think it works pretty well standalone. Just all you need to know is Spider-Man and J. Jonah Jameson hate each other, and they have a very long history.
Okay.
And
They do.
Yeah, they really do. Do you think it's a really good example of Zdarsky's work on the book? Do you think it's a good introduction to his take on Spider-Man?
I think so.
Okay.
Other than just reading like the first couple issues,
Yeah.
if you want to jump in, I mean, it's only on issue 6,
Yeah.
so you can get in pretty much anywhere.
Right,
but
if you wanted to, you could pick this up, maybe get a feel for his
Yeah.
writing style. All right.
definitely.
There you go, guys. Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man, number 6. That's, one of 2 pretty good Spider-Man books that are coming out from Marvel right now. Granted, I think Renew Your Vows is also pretty good. So
Yeah,
give that a
yeah,
pass too. Anyway, the last book we're going to be talking about this week is Batman White Knight. This is a very Batman heavy week, honestly.
So many. We didn't even talk about the Dark Prince Charming, which was another thing that came out this week that was Batman.
Just so much Batman. So much Batman. That's DC's moneymaker, so Batman it is. Batman White Knight, if you guys haven't been following, this is issue 2 of this. This is a kind of Elseworldsian story without them using the Elseworlds moniker on it, which is confusing as all hell because
just a little bit.
Yeah, just put it on there because everything that's going on in this book is not, in my opinion, there's no way this is continuity.
Right.
It's funny, I heard you and Sal say that if anything, it felt like it took place in the animated series universe, and oh boy, did it ever feel like that this issue.
Yeah, no, trust me. Like, when I first read that issue, I was like, oh my god, this is just the animated series, and I love it, because it's like a dark version of the animated series, which is already kind of swinging to the dark side, but, like, then you add this, like, gritty, crazy, grimy art with it, and just this overall concept of, like, what would happen if the Joker was cured. And we get this story. And in this issue, we definitely see more of that animated series influence. We start off with the Joker, who is now just going by Jack Napier, which is, of course, from the movies, which is so funny because it's like, where are we getting this information and what universe are you crafting? He is essentially giving his plea in court, being like, look, I'm totally fine, I'm cured. The fact is, like, Gotham made the Joker because, like, the, like, big corporations and the 1%ers wanted to create a reason for you to give them money so that you would fund...
A scapegoat.
Yeah, essentially. They wanted you to fund things, they wanted you to fund Arkham, they wanted you to, there's, like, real estate schemes going on that we find out through
It's
this
the
whole
Batman industrial complex, basically.
It really is. It really is. And, like,
it's fascinating, because it's like, wow, Sean Murphy really thought about this, didn't he?
Yeah, and the fact is, throughout this story, we'll end up finding out that there are truly, like, bad rich people in this city who are utilizing Batman's war on crime to make money for themselves via real estate schemes where, like, they'll go in and once a place is, like, condoned as, like, a Batman combat area or wherever, they'll sweep in, they'll buy a bunch of really low-cost real estate and then flip it and then turn it into something really awesome. And
it's wonderful that this shocks Bruce Wayne, that he never, ever for a second thought that his war on crime could ever have this effect. And like, oh my god, the rich people who I consider my friends, who I grew up with, they're monsters.
And that's the one thing for me is, like, this, I can't get a handle on this Batman, honestly, because, the Batman that I would imagine from the animated series would be very well aware of that. Like, I feel like Bruce Wayne never really considered those people to be his friends. They are acquaintances, and, like, I could definitely see him believing that they would do something as such. So this Batman, I haven't really quite figured him out.
He's a little all over the map.
He really is. But honestly, at the end of the day, while this is called Batman White Knight right now, it's more or less a Joker story, and I'm kind of okay with that because we get a chance to see Joker without the crazy in there, and let's just get to the heart of it. Let's talk about what's actually in this whole story. Harley Quinn plays a huge role in this. And
massive.
If you know anything about the animated series, that's where she came from. She came from the animated series. She was created there. They pulled her from there, put her into comics, and she skyrocketed to fame, essentially, there. But comes from the animated series, and since this book is so, to me, influenced by the animated series, of course
not just you.
Yeah, exactly. Of course she's going to show up there. Joker shows up. We see Harley in a state of kind of the movie, kind of where she is right now, look-wise. And Joker essentially, like, tries to explain to her, he's like, look, I'm sorry, I was a real jerk, I shouldn't have been like that, like, I mistreated you, and that's not what this should be, and, like, you were just, being totally torn down from inside. And she's just like, no, I like you. I like you're crazy. I like this. I like blah, blah, blah. Like, she is acting very much not like the animated series Harley, but like the more recent Harley. And Joker then proposes to her. And she thinks it's a big joke, and she's like, whatever. And then when he's like, no, this isn't a joke. Like, I'm going to do right by you, essentially. And she freaks out and, like, pushes him away, and he just, like, spills all his pills and stuff like that. And she's like, you have to stop taking those pills. She's trying to put him back in the makeup. She's trying to get back things to how they were. And that's about the time that a random, like, red black footed thing shows up and kicks this Harley out of the way. And it turns out it's animated series looking Harley.
It's Arlene Sorkin Harley.
Yeah, exactly.
They split the difference on the Harleys and
Let
they
me
make
finish
it
telling the story, Joel, okay?
Sorry, I'm excited too.
Well, too bad. I had 2 books
Are there
this week.
2?
I'm going to mute you in a second.
Okay.
All right? Jesus. Anyway, it turns out what ended up happening was the Harley that we kind of all became familiar with, the original Harley, ended up leaving the Joker. She stayed around for as long as she could. She put up with it. She's like, look, I fell in love with Jack. I fell in love with who you were. And, like, the Joker was just, like, a persona that you put on. But at the heart, at the core, was Jack. And that's who I loved. However, the more you got into your Batman obsession, the more I realized you were falling in love with him. And you didn't care about me anymore. And so inevitably, the deal breaker for her is when she finds the Joker with Jason Todd in the basement and he's beating him, essentially. She ends up calling Batman. Batman comes. She shows him where Jason Todd is. His body is gone. There's nothing left but a bloody chair. And Batman almost beats the Joker to death, and she stops him. Because of that, he helps get her off easy with a slap on the wrist. But the Joker doesn't remember any of this because seemingly he was so, like, in his, like, own Joker persona and so off the rails at that point and obsessed with Batman, he didn't even notice that after Harley left, another person showed up and pretended to be Harley because she was in love with the Joker. And it's not like Harley has 2 personalities. It literally, a different person showed up and was just like, no, I love the crazy that you are Joker. And so, like, as, like, classic Harley explains, or, like, Quinzel, if you want to call her, she's like, you loved him because of his flaws, and I loved him in spite of his flaws. And so she ends up taking Jack, they leave, she takes him home, and he says that they have to stop, like, essentially the culture that Batman has created. They have to stop what has happened to Gotham, and the way they're going to do that is by becoming the good guys, essentially. And so they go out there, and they Jack ended up getting a settlement, and so they give that to this very poor neighborhood to create a library there. And you see them, like, almost as this political couple together. They're there, no makeup, just the 2 of them on camera, just being like, this is what we're gonna do. And, like, we see Bruce seeing that, and he's just like, turn that off, it's all garbage. Like, because he's so, like, he's clearly so confused about what is going on with the Joker, because he's like, no, I'm the good guy. And then he's finding out, he's like, wait, I'm the bad guy? Wait, I created a terrible culture in Gotham? Is he right? He can't be right. And at the end of the day, we really don't know if Jack A is cured. Granted, they have a whole conversation because don't forget, Harley Quinzel was actually a psychiatrist. And we've kind of forgotten about that in more recent years. It's kind of fallen away. And they explain that being like, well, I was. This new chick wasn't. And she's like, the fact is, you have a lot of problems. And you had a chemical imbalance, which was making everything worse. And the medicine is helping to settle that chemical imbalance. And so hopefully over time we can fully cure you by working together. But my question is he really doing this because the medicine has actually cured him, or is there something else going on here? Because at the end of this, of course, we see him meeting up with a lot of his past villains, many of which are ones that we saw in the animated series, including characters like Baby Doll, which I'm like, wow, we haven't seen Baby Doll in forever, but there she is.
I didn't mean to.
Right? And the ventriloquist is there too. It's a different version that we've really seen. Just kind of
lots of cool redesigns.
Yeah. We got Poison Ivy, just the whole gang's there. And he even mentions the fact that usually when they have these conversations, it turns into him like an almost got him, which is an episode from the animated series. And in the end, it turns out his ploy is that he utilizes the Mad Hatter's hats, puts a device into Clayface, which then turns Clayface into, like, his slave in a way, and then using the hat, turns Clayface into dust, and then puts that dust into all the alcohol the other villains are going to drink, because he doesn't think that the Mad Hatter device is strong enough to take over such strong personalities, and instead utilizes Clayface, coursing through their bodies to control them. So now he has like this little army, which I'm just like, that's not very like good of you, but where are we going with this?
He also defeated all crime in Gotham in one night, though, if you want to look at it from his point of view.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, for the most part, any of the big crime, sure. Also, I'm not going to neglect the fact that we get an amazing, amazing splash page of Mr. Freeze and Nora. I love Mr. Freeze. I love Mr. Freeze, especially from the animated series. As we know from the past issue, Alfred is dying of the same disease that Nora had, much like
McGregor's.
a horrible, horrible movie that came out.
He's got the McGregors and he's got it bad.
Right? So he has been working with Freeze to help to develop a cure for this. They do kind of work out something utilizing rats and helmets and freezing liquid. It's almost like the Abyss, but not that at all. But it reminded me of that. And they end up making it work for the rats. Freeze immediately takes it. And because he takes it, and like he was frozen at the age of 30, it's been 50 years, he rapidly ages to the age of 80.
Ooh.
And you're like, oh, but like he doesn't care, I think, because like he's like, I feel warm and like I feel awesome and like, you know, like he just wants his wife back. But like if they give her this, what's going to happen to her? Will she also rapidly degenerate? They also don't have a cure for the disease necessarily, so they're still working through all of this. But for me, it's just such a pleasure and a delight to see this character and to see them working together. I love Mr. Freeze. I love how tragic he is, and I always like to see him in that role, and that's what we got here. This book's really good, and like it's really bringing up really cool ideas, like the idea of having two different Harley Quinns and explaining the difference in their personalities and like this insane evolution over time for this character. I like this explanation. Again, I don't think it's continuity even remotely. The art is spectacular in this book.
Yeah,
it is such a feast for the eyes, and this is one of my favorite Batman books right now. I gotta tell you, like this is it. Like I'm really loving this book. So if you haven't read, yeah, it is. It truly is. It's storylines and like nostalgia all rolled into one. It's just all different things that like you haven't really thought about. Some of the things you wish you had seen, and honestly, the nostalgia factor is just it's all over the place, and it feels really nice. It just feels good. So if you haven't picked it up, again, it's only on issue 2. It's really easy to go back, grab the other one. It's cool. It's very cool. And not like Red Letter Media, very cool. Legitimately very cool. But that's it, guys. That was all the books for this week that we had to talk about. That was quite a few. I know it was very Batman heavy, but look, people love Batman, okay?
It's the week that was.
He's got a whole day for himself. It's just, you know?
It sure does.
Like, jeez. No, anyway.
When's the pull day?
Right? It's
Thursday.
Every Thursday at 5:30 to whenever.
Screw you, Batman.
Exactly. Yeah. Beat that, Batman.
You got 52 days.
I always feel like you shouldn't
Out
say
of the
those things
year.
too loud, because if Batman existed, he'd come and punch you in the face.
I'm Batman.
Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you, Dylan, so much for hanging out. If they want to find you, where can they find you, sir?
You can go to youtube.com/OramsComics or Twitter at Auram Alexander. Either of those will work. I'm making videos again, so
Awesome. All right.
Hey.
So you can
go check those out.
Exactly. So you can definitely go check him out. Hey, find out all the stuff that he's doing, talking and stuff like that. You're a smart guy. You know what's going on in comics, so you know, go check that out.
I try.
Just say yes. Yes.
Yes. I definitely didn't read a comic for the first time in a month and a half yesterday.
Fine. Didn't seem like it. And don't forget, if you want to hang out with Joel and I, you can head over to @CapeJoel over on Twitter, @TheRealZoobs over on Twitter. And now I gotta go because I'm gonna go see Thor after I'm done.
Oh God, me too.
Shooting things. But it's time for Thor because it's Thor's Day.
Stupid small town northern
north.
theaters making me wait till
sorry,
Friday.
It's hammer time.
It's all right.
Yeah, I said it's hammer time. We're gonna stop the show
Someone
now
had to.
before I say anything else like that. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Enjoy Thor if you go and see it, and if not, then you didn't see it. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you then, Joel.
Yeah.
Joel.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.